Well, g'day. Welcome to lesson 183. I call upon God's name and my own. And this will probably bring up, if you're a religious person, this will probably bring up all your ideas of sacrilege and what's that called when you take the Lord's name in vain? Blasphemy and all that sort of stuff. So settle back, relax, and listen to the reasonability of calling upon God's name and my own, which are the same. There, I said it. All right, ready? God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon his name is but to call upon your own. A father gives his son his name and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world that does not know, even though you have not remembered it. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind which calls you to remember. Say his name and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. Repeat God's name and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand, you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. And I've got to tell you, I've had people say to me, at times over the years in talking about the miracles of Jesus, even the classic Jesus that we refer to as not really the ascended Jesus, but the classic Jesus that we refer to as the staff and sandals kind of clad man that walked the holy hills of, the Galilee basin. And I've had people say to me, you don't really believe in all those miracles, do you? The loaves and the fishes and walking on the water. And it's like, yes, I do, because I haven't seen those specific ones. But in my last 25 years and being involved with this course and groups of people involved in this course, I have both had miracles that I can't explain and I've seen them. And I've heard the stories of others similarly who I know are telling me the truth because of the embodiment of the story they're giving me reflects my own understanding of things within my own frame of reference. And it's very hard to try and talk about miracles because they're miraculous, they're not conceptual, but you can kind of reference the scenario and the situations, and I won't get into it now, but one particular one of a man I met whose pacemaker was removed without any surgery and his heart restored to full function, and seeing the x-rays, the doctor's reports and everything, and the doctors refusing to believe that he didn't fly offshore and have it removed in some foreign hospital somehow, even though there was only the scar there from where they'd put it in. And that was quite an old school pacemaker from what I can remember. It was one of the ones that's sort of like, the big one. But anyway, and other things, just crazy, but a miracle nonetheless. Repeat the name of God and little names have lost their meaning. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat his name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you value. Oh, and Annie Liley, if you're watching this, you're probably not, but I might tag you in it on Facebook. If you're watching this, maybe you actually recall that story, because I remember when we were at the healing center together, whoever that was that occurred to was telling us the story in a group setting, and I think it was to do with not John of God, the other guy, Dr. Fritz, something like that. But anyway, a spiritual healer in North America or South America, wherever he was, in my mind. Repeat the name of God, and little names have lost their meaning. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat his name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you value. They have lost the name of God you gave them. They become anonymous and valueless to you, although before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. Mobile phones, crystals, tarot cards. Repeat the name of God and call upon yourself, capital S, whose name is his. Repeat his name and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the Holy Son of God. And should you join a brother as you sit with him in silence and repeat God's name along with him within your quiet minds, you have established there an altar which reaches to God himself and to his Son. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and be still. Become oblivious to every name but his. Hear nothing else. Yeah. Let all your thoughts become anchored on this. No other words we use except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once, and then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own. Thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused, and God will come to answer it himself. Think not he hears the little prayers of those who call on him with names of idols cherished by the world. They cannot reach him thus. He cannot hear requests that he be not himself, or that his Son receive another name than his. Repeat his name and you acknowledge him as sole creator of reality, and you acknowledge that his Son is part of him, creating in his name. And I remember prior to coming into this course and prior to the experience of the illumination of my mind, which was, before this course, but on the same day that it was given to me, the journey that I had was multifaceted. I had influences from all sorts of things. I had Native American influences where I called the creator of all things the Great Father or the Great Spirit, and I used to have references with the spirits of the four directions and everything like that, which looking back now I can't correlate it in my mind, but I know that I had those other names. But and there was a time I spent with the Hare Krishna community, and I had Krishna consciousness as a big part, which also is still a singular teaching, despite the fact that prayer is through many demigods and things like that, which I didn't really gel with at the time. But, when you're new at something, you just sort of look at it and take it at face value, I suppose. But, there was all these sorts of influences, but I realized post-enlightenment that everything that had occurred, every kind of avenue of worship and investigation that I took was leading me little by little to the singular nature of a one loving, altruistic, holy creating force, which we call God or Allah. It doesn't really matter, or I think, I forget from Krishna, but Atma or something, I think, was the singular divine. It's very multifaceted, that one. Anyway, so I'll keep reading. Just got a little sidetracked there. Repeat his name and you acknowledge him as sole creator of reality. And you acknowledge also that his Son is part of him, creating in his name. Sit silently Sit silently and let his name become the all-encompassing idea which holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one, and to all other thoughts respond with this, and see God's name replace the 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts, not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all there will ever be. Today you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gifts of grace. You can escape all the bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering, which I'm doing now as a witness to the truth of this curriculum, which I can guarantee you is factual through the enlightenment of my mind. And I might make another video of that actual experience surrounding those weeks and months afterwards and everything. And I often have people ask me, can you tell me that story? And I'm like, well, you know, I forget how many videos I've made of it, but I'm sure it gets more interesting every time. Maybe not. Okay. Today you can achieve a state. Yep. You can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. You can accept today the part you play in its salvation and your own as well, and both can be accomplished perfectly. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within it. Words are insignificant and all requests unneeded when God's Son calls on his Father's name. His Father's thought becomes his own. He makes his claim to all his Father gave, is giving still, and will forever give. He calls on him to let all things he thought he made be nameless now, and in their place the holy name of God becomes his judgment of their worthlessness. All little things are silent. Little sounds are soundless now. The little things of earth have disappeared. The universe consists of nothing but the Son of God who calls upon his Father, and his Father's voice gives answer in his Father's holy name. In this eternal, still relationship, in which communication far transcends all words and yet exceeds in depth and height whatever words could possibly convey, is peace eternal. In our Father's name we would experience this peace today, and in his name it shall be given us. Beautiful. Okay, 184 tomorrow. All right. I love you. Keep going. I've had people say to me, I'm getting stuck on these lessons, whatever. Just keep going. Okay? The whole process of retraining the mind is to make consistent effort towards it. If you find yourself getting frustrated and stuck and you don't understand it and whatever, that doesn't mean to give up. It means just keep going. All right, so you'll have perhaps sometimes whole chapters of this course that won't make any sense to you, or you'll have trouble trying to integrate. And remember, that's only your ego resisting the actual understanding and the knowing of what it is that the words are trying to convey. Okay, it's what's written between the words. But then you'll find other chapters and other lessons that will resonate with you so profoundly that you'll be glad you kept going and got to them, because they make sense of everything that you couldn't grasp earlier, if that makes sense. All right, and I've had many times that's occurred with me, especially in the early first couple of years working with this workbook. And I was very grateful at the encouragement of my guide, I guess you would call my guides, and mighty companions at the time, others who I was in an environment luckily enough to be studying this course with, who encouraged me just to keep going. Just keep going, Dave. Don't stop, don't quit, don't put, don't allow yourself to become despondent in these things. And it was in that willingness to just keep going that progress is made. All right? I don't know how to keep going. I feel like all of these other things are against me. I don't have time, and all these stories that I can make up. But if I just say, yes, I'll keep going, miraculously, something occurs for the way to be open before me, and find the time and the integrity and all of that sort of stuff with my study and research and all of that sort of stuff into the subject matter at hand, so that I can begin to integrate it into my thought system and make changes in my conscious patterns that keep me bound to limited ideas. And I can't keep going, or I've got to give up, or I don't get this, or this is too hard. They're all limiting ideas. Okay? Just keep going. I love you.